Hey everyone, this is going to be a demo of creating characters in Inform 7 and making them seem relatively lifelike. This was requested by someone that goes by the name Heather. Not sure if that's actually her name or if that's a nickname. I assume it's the name. But I thought I would do this. Now, it took me a while to put this together because I had quite the challenge trying to code it and make sure that there weren't any bugs. And I think I've ironed out all the major bugs, though there may be some. So just like with the other Inform tutorial, I will be putting a link to the code and a compiled game in the description. So if you want to go download this and read it and experiment with it, you can definitely do so. That's the whole point of these types of exercises. The other thing I'm going to do, and sorry if you heard some noise in the background, that was just me bumping into a cable. But the other thing I wanted to say is I got an M4 Mac Mini, and I want to kind of give you an idea of what it's like to use Inform in Mac OS, because I actually prefer it. And there's a few reasons for that. The big one is because of the way that VoiceOver works. It is significantly more convenient to move between the different parts of the application with the VoiceOver cursor. So let me go ahead and hit the button here because I'm recording on a different computer than I'm doing this on, because macOS has strange volume issues with my mixer, and I may work that out. But I'm going to hit, let's see, channel number 3 on my KVM. And if I have this configured right, you should hear the Mac here once I start to press commands. So this is, like I said, this is an M4 Mac Mini running Sequoia, and there's definitely been some interesting things being done over in Macland since about 2022, and that is very encouraging. So I thought I would grab the new generations of Macs, and I guess we'll just have to see what the future holds in terms of what is done with the OS. But yeah, so I'm gonna now give you a quick look at this program here. So I'm using the numpad commander, so I'm just gonna hit number 6 on my keyboard.
Cat.inform.
This is the title of the window, and hopefully I have the speech at a reasonable rate so that most people can understand it.
Inform. Blob logo image build 10.1.2. Toolbar.
All right, this is the toolbar. If you interact
In toolbar. 5 items. Go. Button. Replay button. Release button. Source search text field. Documentation search text field. Documentation search text field. Blank. Out of toolbar.
You can click on the buttons in the toolbar to do things, or you can hit keyboard commands, or you can go into the menus. So if you go into the menu,
Menu bar. Apple.
if I go over to play,
Inform. File. Edit. Format. Play. Play. Menu. Go command R. Replay command option R. Stop. Dimmed. Test me command control option T. Refresh index command I. Go command R. Release menu. Release ellipsis command shift R. Release for testing ellipsis. Open materials folder command M. Export iFiction record ellipsis. Release ellipsis command shift R. Window menu. Toolbar.
so those are a few of the things that you can do. The commands I tend to use the most are command R to make sure it actually compiles, command shift R to make sure, or to cause it to release the project as a playable game file, and command M, which opens the location where the game stores its files when you hit release. So if we keep going here,
Edit text insertion at beginning of text. Cat by Christopher Wright. Section 1. The map. The living room is a room.
and of course it's a text field. If you move to it, VoiceOver will read the text by default, which is not always what you want. But if I keep going,
Source, selected, tab, 1 of 7.
these are the tabs that control what the pane on the left side of the screen shows. So right now we have the source code being shown.
Results, tab, 2 of 7.
This is the tab that shows you the results when you compile or release.
Testing, tab, 3 of 7.
This is the testing tab. I'm not entirely sure what all of these do, and I don't use them all because I don't find that they're all very accessible.
Index, tab, 4 of 7. Documentation, tab, 5 of 7. Extensions, tab, 6 of 7. Settings, tab, 7 of 7. Horizontal splitter.
And then we have the splitter, which presumably divides the screen in half. Like I said, I'm not sure what this looks like visually, but I think that's what it's doing based on the information I'm getting from VoiceOver.
Text.
Now, this just says text because I haven't done
It's 3 o'clock.
anything yet. And the reason for that, oh, and there's my time announcement because I have the time on in the Mac, so it's going to read the time to me.
Source, tab, 1 of 8.
These are the tabs for the right side of the window. So the cool thing, and you can do this in Windows, but it's a bit more clunky because you have to hit, I believe it's F6, but then not every part of the window takes proper keyboard control, so you have to use whatever your cursor is called in your reader of choice. So like NVDA uses Object Nav, JAWS has the touch cursor and the JAWS cursor and all this crazy crap. So yeah, you have to do that. Whereas with this, it just works because by default you're taught to use the VoiceOver cursor.
Results, selected, tab, 2 of 8. Story, tab, 3 of 8. Testing, tab, 4 of 8.
There's some different tabs over here.
Index, tab, 5. Documentation, tab. Extensions, settings, tab, 8 of 8. Vertical splitter, vertical splitter.
And that's at the bottom of the window, I assume. I'm not sure what that's for.
Settings, tab, 8 of 8.
But the cool thing is you can have your code on the left and something else going on the right. So if I click on settings,
Tab, settings. Vertical splitter, settings. Vertical, in text, result, source, settings, scroll area. Settings, tab, settings, scroll area. In settings, scroll area. 12 items. Inform translates the source text into a story file, which can have either of two standard formats. You can change your mind about the format at any time, but some language features require GLOX to be used. Z-Code version 8, medium-sized textual projects, most portable, radio button, 1 of 2. GLOX, large and multimedia projects, most capable, selected, radio button, 2 of 2.
and as you can tell, you can just use standard VoiceOver commands to read and interact with these.
When released, the story file is normally bound up into a blurb file along with bibliographic data, cover art, and any other resources it needs. If you need the raw story file, uncheck this option. Checked bind up into a blurb file on release checkbox. If the story involves randomized outcomes or events, unchecked version, current, pop-up button. With this option set, Inform always uses the latest version of the language to compile your project. This restricts to a minimal version of the Inform programming language, which is uninteractive and does not have a command parser. This is available only in version 10.1.0 or greater of Inform. Unchecked use basic Inform only checkbox. Unchecked use basic Inform. Out of settings scroll area.
So yeah, that's just a quick look at how this works. Like I said, I do think it runs a lot better on Mac than it does in Windows, and probably even in Linux, because I imagine if this is accessible with Orca, which it may or may not be, the navigation would be very similar to Windows. So with Orca, you'd have to use Orca review commands.
Source tab 1 of 8.
But the cool thing,
Test index documentation tab documentation.
you can say have the story or have your code on one side and the documentation on the other.
In text source contents web content. In contents web content we underscore cover at 2x.png image.
That's the graphic.
Verb underscore documentation. 2 complete books about Inform.
And you can go through here.
The Inform recipe book. Practical solutions for authors to use. Table. Image. Show.
I ignore this table.
1. Welcome to Inform. Image. 2. The source text. Image. Show. 3. Things.
Now I think if you click on these graphics, it's supposed to show you the table of contents. I haven't figured out how to make this work, but like if I click on this,
3.1. Descriptions web content. In 3.1. Descriptions web content table. 3 columns. Section symbol 3.1. At its simplest, the interactive fiction will be simulating a physical world to explore. The forerunner of today's if is generally agreed to be a computer simulation by Will Crowther of the exploration of a cave system in the Mammoth and Flint Ridge chain of caves in Kentucky, a part of which might be described in form thus. Image. Paste at 2x.png. Cave entrance. Block quote level 1. The cobble crawl is a room.
And of course, you have links in here. When you get to the examples, you can click on the link to expand the examples, and there will be a paste link and a create link. If you click on paste, it will paste the code into your existing project, complete with all the correct indentations and things like that. Obviously, if you do create, it will create a new project with that info. I explained this when I was talking about using this in Windows, but like I said, I think this works a bit better here. Now, the other thing, I think this will work, because I'm in web content, I should be able to just use the regular arrow keys to navigate.
There is a dim light at the east end of the passage. H-T-H-E-R-E space.
Yes, I can. So if you have QuickNav off, you should be able to use the standard arrow keys in this web content and navigate it just like you would if you were browsing the web in, say, a program like Safari. I'm sorry, I hate that. It drives me crazy. Of course, you have all the same commands. You can use command the left arrow to go to the beginning of the line.
There.
Command right arrow to go to the end.
Quotation mark.
Option left arrow to go by word.
Passage, the, of, and, east, and, of, the, passage.
Things like that. Now, I'm using a PC keyboard. Well, it's a Windows keyboard, so command is the Windows key by default, and option is the alt key, basically.
Out of 3.1.
So that's the documentation.
Settings.
Now,
test results. Source. Edit toolbar. Edit.
Let's take a look at this code, and I'm going to try to explain things as I go, because there's some concepts in here that I didn't explain last time. So here we go.
New line. Cat by Christopher Wright.
Right, that's the title.
New line. Section 1. The map.
Just like before, I think it's best practice to break your code down into pieces, especially since you can only have one file. So I would get into the habit of doing that so that if you need to go back, it's easy to locate things that you might want to modify.
New line. The living room is a room. The description is, there's nothing special here. The kitchen is east. The kitchen is east of the living room.
Okay. We've seen this before. This just creates the map and its connections. In this case, because this is a very basic example, the map is 2 rooms big, and there's no real doors or anything like that to get in your way.
The description is, there's nothing special here. The living room is west. The bowl is in the kitchen.
Now, here's an item, and you'll see why this is here in just a moment.
The bowl can be whole or shattered.
Right, this is a bowl. This is an item that's in the kitchen. And if you remember from the other demo, or maybe if you're coming into this brand new, which I would recommend going and listening to my demo. Though hopefully this one won't be as long as the previous one because I've already done the coding. So I'm just going to go through here and explain things, and then I'll play it. So this is an item. This has a property.
The bowl can be whole or shattered.
In this case, it is whole or shattered, which basically means that it's possible to break it, and there is some code here to do that.
The description is, if whole, it's a little glass bowl you sometimes use to feed the cat. Though its purpose can change as the situation dictates, and if shattered, it used to be a functional glass bowl until Ginger decided to push it off the counter. Now it's a bunch of broken glass you'll have to clean up. And if...
So the punctuation is important here, and this is why I recommend that you go through and read the text yourself, because you'll be able to see exactly how it's written. But basically, I've written this so that it has two different descriptions depending on its state, and the program will dynamically change that.
Understand glass or container as the bowl.
Again, this is just a standard rule to add vocabulary words to things, so that if the player wants to refer to an object as something else than the name that you give it, he or she can.
Understand broken or piece or pieces as the bowl when the bowl is shattered.
And of course, this is just more stuff that it adds if the bowl itself is broken. So if it's basically in the broken state. Although I didn't call it broken, I could have called it broken, but I didn't.
Instead of doing anything other than examining to the bowl, if the bowl is whole, say, there's no need to do anything with that right now. Otherwise, say, you'll need to sweep up the mess. It's far too dangerous otherwise.
So this is something I put in here to keep you from grabbing the bowl and introducing some bugs and making things not work as they should. Basically, it won't let you do anything other than examining the bowl, and it changes the message depending on the state of the bowl, so if it's whole or if it's broken.
New line, section 2, the cat.
All right, so that's the map. That's pretty basic. Now we get to the section that defines information about the cat itself. This is probably where you would want your character to go.
New line, a cat is a kind of animal.
All right, now I don't think I've talked about kinds. Kinds, from my understanding, and I'm not a programmer really, but from my understanding, kinds are like classes in most programming languages. So a class, from my understanding, lets you group things together. So in this case, I've made a thing called a cat, which means anywhere in my code, if I wanted to add another cat to my code, I could just say blah, blah, blah is a cat in whatever room. And basically, based on what these lines tell it, the program will basically get the information, and now it knows, okay, this is another creature that you want to add. And of course, this can be handy for all kinds of things. Maybe you want to create a kind called weapons, and then you can say, okay, a sword is a weapon. You could say a rifle is a weapon, and then basically you don't have to define that for a bunch of different things. It's just done.
Understand feline or rat catcher or cat or animal or pet as a cat.
This just associates these words with the cat class, basically, or kind, as it's called in Inform.
A cat can be happy or scared.
This is a value. This is basic. This is how I implement moods, basically. So basically, the cat can be happy or scared.
Ginger is a cat in the living room.
Now we come down to defining a cat itself, and here's the one I have in here. Of course, named it after the one that we have because I think it's funny. Now, just as an aside, I don't particularly like animals. I don't really have a connection with them. I would much rather have have another person with me, because I find that's a lot more it gives me a lot more connection, and I feel closer to that kind of thing than a cat or a dog. And I don't mind cats, but I really don't like dogs. But anyway, that's just an aside.
The description is, she's a little tabby. You call her a toy cat because she's so small. If happy, she's currently walking around, tail straight up in the air. She must be very content. And if scared, she looks incredibly scared right now. Her eyes have dilated, and her back is arched. Clearly, the act of breaking the bowl spooked her something fierce. And if...
So this is basically doing the same thing that we saw with the bowl, changing the description of the cat depending on her mood.
New line, section 3, breaking the bowl.
Now, I put this in its own section because I had this somewhere else in the code and it was causing bugs. This is a block of code that breaks the bowl, basically.
New line, to break the bowl. Now the bowl is shattered. Now Ginger is scared. Now Ginger is in the living room. New line.
So that's it.
Section 4, cat behavior.
So basically, I believe other programming languages call this a function. So it's basically a block of code that you can call from anywhere else in your code, and it will execute. From what I can tell, it's best to do it like this so that if you need to modify it, you can modify it in one place and you're less likely to have bugs. The other thing, just speaking about bugs, because I don't know if I said this in my initial tutorial, but it's a good idea to try to avoid putting code in your project before it references something else. So like if you say have code that references a cat before you add the information about the cat, your program might have some odd glitches. So I recommend always putting in the things that you want first, and then after that's been listed and defined, then you can define the code that you want to act on those things. So let's keep going here. Now this is the
section 4, cat behavior.
This is the section that deals with the cat behavior itself.
New line, every turn when Ginger is happy and the player can see Ginger.
So this is the way I've done this is with every turn rules, but they're very customized, so they should only trigger when certain conditions are being met. So in this case,
new every turn when Ginger is happy and the player can see Ginger.
Basically, when the cat is happy and the player can see the cat, I want this to happen.
If a random chance of 1 in 3 succeeds.
This randomizes the output somewhat and basically means it won't always happen at every single turn, because sometimes you may not want to print messages constantly to let the player know that characters are doing things, because that could get a little annoying.
Say, Ginger, one of meows loudly, or curls around your ankles, or purrs contentedly, or chases something you can't see, or begins cleaning herself, or jumps into your lap, or climbs on your shoulders and neck, causing you to wince in pain as her claws dig into your skin, or rubs against your legs at random.
Okay, this is a basic way of making things appear like they're doing things when they're not. So basically, I put in a bunch of random things that it will choose from, and it will print those messages. And you know, this could be handy for all kinds of things. Maybe you have people that are doing something, and you want it to make it look like they're doing something when they're really not. In this case, you have the cat doing cat things, but you could apply this to a person. Like, I don't know, maybe you have a maid in your game that's cleaning, and so you can write messages that say, oh, the maid does this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and it will just choose what to print.
Every turn when Ginger is scared and the player can see Ginger.
This is the same thing, except this triggers when the value is changed from happy to scared.
If a random chance of 1 in 3 succeeds. Say, Ginger, one of hisses loudly, or swivels her ears, trying to detect more danger, or yowls in distress, or tries to make herself look as small as possible at random.
Alright, so there's some messages that will print when she is scared. which is obviously different. Like I said, this is probably the hardest thing to code in a computer game because computers are stupid by their well, see, and I say that, yes, I love computing, but by their nature they are incredibly stupid because they just execute instructions. So if you don't tell them to do something, they just won't. So yeah, this is basically how you take a character that is a statue and try to make it do things. Now, there are more ways to do it, and I don't know them all, and they can get pretty complex. Especially if you add people, because as we all know, people are much more complex than any sort of animal. So trying to make them respond to the player and do things can be a lot trickier.
Every turn when Ginger is happy. If a random chance of 1 in 6 succeeds. If Ginger is in a room, call the current space.
Okay, this next chunk of code makes the cat move by herself, basically.
Let next space be a random room which is adjacent to the current space. If Ginger is visible, say, Ginger heads to the next space.
These are, I think Inform calls these text assertions or text replacements, basically. Usually the things in brackets will be replaced by the names of things.
Move Ginger to next space.
So this code basically tells, okay, every turn, if the cat is happy, if a random chance, I'm not sure how the random chance thing works exactly. I think it randomly selects and does things based on probability. So every 1/6 of the time you count turns, this might trigger.
If Ginger is visible, say, Ginger arrives from the current space.
Yeah, so basically, this allows the character to move between rooms that are linked. This code is pretty basic, and if you have things like doors or things that block the character, you'll have to get a bit more creative, and I'm actually not sure how to do this that well. So I'm still trying to learn, but this does work. I took it from the manual, or the yeah.
Every turn when Ginger is in the kitchen and Ginger is happy and the bowl is whole and the player is in the kitchen.
All right. Now, the thing here too, which I haven't been talking about, these if statements are indented with tabs, and that's something that you'll have to learn, and it still kind of trips me up. What you can do, and I don't think I talked about this in Windows, even though I probably should have, you should be able to enable your reader to indicate tabs, and you can do this in Mac OS too. So if I go to VoiceOver Utility,
opening VoiceOver Utility,
and we go down to
speech, voices, selected,
or no, it's
utility,
under
navigate speech,
verbosity. I'm sorry.
Spread text, tab text.
These were added in Ventura. Like I said, there have been lots of cool things done since 2022 in Macland, and I really hope that continues in 2025 and beyond.
And now hints, sum, first 3 times do nothing, repeated spaces do nothing, line indentation, pop-up button, menu checkmark do nothing.
So we have
speak number of spaces in tabs.
Speak number of spaces in tabs.
Speak level.
Sound level.
Customize level ellipsis.
Sound level or customize.
Sound level.
The most convenient might be sound.
Sound level.
So if I set this.
Inform. Every turn when every danger, or every turn when Ginger is happy.
So if I go to the top of this line with command left arrow.
VE.
Right.
If a random chance of 1 in 6 succeeds. Tab. New tab.
There's one tab character before this if.
If Ginger is in a room, call the current space. Tab.
There's two tabs, and if you listen to the tones, VoiceOver will increase the pitch depending on the indentation level.
Let next space be a random room which is adjacent to the current space. If Ginger is visible, say, Ginger heads to the next space. Move Ginger to if Ginger every turn when Ginger is in the kitchen and Ginger is happy and the bowl is whole and the player is in the kitchen. Voice over sound level, line indentation, menu check, speak level, speak number of spaces in tabs.
Or we can do this.
Speak number of spaces in tabs. Inform, every 3 tab, 2 tab, every turn when tab, if a random chance of 1 in 6 succeeds, 2 tab, if Ginger is in a room, call the current space. 3 tab, let next space be a random room which is adjacent to the current space. 3 tab, if Ginger is visible, say, Ginger heads to the next space. 3 tab, move Ginger to next space.
Of course, the other thing that you may want to do too is set your punctuation level to all.
Typing echo menu, 4 items, 1 item, nothing.
Voice over V and then right arrow.
Text attribute, numbers, capitals, when status, speech verb, braille verb, punctuation menu, none, all, stoppage, 3 tab, if Ginger is visible, comma, say quotation mark, Ginger heads to, left bracket, the next space, right bracket, period, quotation mark, semicolon, new line.
Right, so if you want to hear all the punctuation.
3 tab, move Ginger to next space, semicolon, new line. 3 tab, if Ginger is visible, comma, say quotation mark, Ginger arrives from, left bracket, the current space, right bracket, period, quotation mark, new line. Every turn when Ginger is in the kitchen and Ginger is happy and the bowl is whole and the player is in the kitchen, colon, new line.
Right, so let me turn
punctuation,
this.
all, some. Stop adjusting punctuation. Voice, do speak number of menu, speak level. Speak level. Inform. 0 indents every turn. 3 indents if Ginger is. 3 indents move 3 indents. 3 indents. 2 indents if Ginger is in. 1 indent if a random chance. 2 indents if Ginger is in a room.
And this is the other way to speak it. So you can just play with these and see what you like the best.
Voice over.
You can customize the tab level, I think. I don't really know what that does exactly. I think it determines how VoiceOver treats indentation. So if you want to make it bigger or smaller, you can, I think. But
menu check, speak, do nothing, do nothing, do nothing, line indentation.
But yeah, so like I said, for the exact punctuation, I do recommend that you download the file and read the text document with the code in it.
Inform,
because that will show you exactly how it's done. So let's continue here because I'm almost done with this code.
If a random every turn when Ginger is happy. If Ginger is in a room, call. If Ginger, move Ginger. If every turn when Ginger is in the kitchen and Ginger is happy and the bowl is whole and the player is in the kitchen.
So these all trigger under very specific conditions. This is the code itself that will break the bowl. Specifically though, when the player is in the kitchen and can see both the cat and the bowl. So in Inform, your scope is basically restricted to the current room. So by default, the player can only view things in the current location.
If a random chance of 1 in 5 succeeds.
This is just some more probability.
Break the bowl.
Here's my code that triggers to tell it to break the bowl, and then
say, Ginger leaps onto the counter and paws at the bowl. Before you can react, she's pushed it off, and it falls to the ground with a tremendous crash, shattering into many tiny pieces. She runs out of the room, leaving you alone with the mess. Damn those pesky cats. Every turn when Ginger is in the cats.
Right, so that's the code that executes when you are in the kitchen and can see what's happening. Now, the flip side of that is when you're not.
Every turn when Ginger is in the kitchen and Ginger is happy and the bowl is whole.
Right. So this is if you stay where you are, because obviously in the real world, you may not move and you may not be in there with the creature. So this basically tries to simulate the cat doing things by herself, even if the player or anyone else isn't there.
If a random chance of 1 in 5 succeeds. Break the bowl.
Right, here's the code to break the bowl.
Say, you hear a crash from the kitchen. Ginger runs into the room looking extremely spooked. What the hell just happened?
So obviously that's a message for that.
New line, section 5, object initialization.
And then the last section in this example code,
new line,
sets some things up when you begin playing.
When play begins. Now Ginger is happy. Now the initial appearance of Ginger is Ginger the cat, if happy, is wandering around. Without a care in the world, her eyes constantly searching for threats, food, and toys. And if scared is here, looking extremely frightened at the moment. And if
This sets up the character so that it basically shows a more interesting message than you can also see Ginger here, which is a very generic, bland message.
now the bowl is whole. Now the initial appearance of the bowl is, if whole, a glass bowl sits on the counter. And if shattered, broken glass litters the floor. And if shattered, broken glass, if shattered.
And that's the end of our code. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what's going on, and I hope I've explained it reasonably well. Now, if I hit Command R,
Go.
we'll see if this executes properly.
Inform has new window toolbar. Edit text source. Set GLK window. Source tab. Results tab. Story. Selected tab. 3 of 8.
Okay, right now it's in the story tab, which actually allows you to play the game.
Results tab.
But I don't like playing it like this.
Tab results.
Let's click on results and read the results.
Source. Translating the source. Produced by report on translation. Succeeded.
And it was successful because I don't have bugs in my code.
Produced by Inform 10.1.2. Me_succeeded at 2x each time go or replay is clicked.
That's a picture. This is blah, blah, blah.
The 698 word source text has successfully been translated into a world with 2 rooms and 3 things, and the index has been brought up to date. The 6 out of translating the source web content.
So we can see that was successful.
Edit text.
Now, one more thing I want to talk about before I actually play this game and show you that it does work is, especially on Mac, and I suppose you could do this if you have JAWS with Text Analyzer. I think it's called Text Analyzer in JAWS. VoiceOver has the same kind of capability now as of Ventura. I'm going to bring it up with my custom command VoiceOver and C, which of course is, in my case, is the caps lock key and C. But you can assign text checker to anything that you want, really.
White space menu, 13 items. On item, 2 tabs in sentence. Cat by Christopher Wright. 2 tabs, 3 tabs in sentence. Cat by Christopher. 3 tabs in sentence. Cat by Chris. 2 tabs in sentence. Cat by Christopher Wright.
Okay, that.
Section 1, the map. 2 tabs in sentence. Cat.
Wait, why is it?
Edit
it's
text.
not giving me the right stuff. Let me try interacting
In edit text.
with the text box.
White space menu, 13, 2 tabs in sentence. Cat by Christopher. 3 tabs in sentence. Cat by Christopher Wright.
Yeah, this is very buggy. But basically, and these are not, technically these aren't mistakes right now because they're indentations that are required for the code. But it'll show you if you have extra space in your text.
Misspelled menu, 1 item. On item, rat catcher, RATCATCHER in sentence. Cat by Christopher Wright. Section 1, the map.
Yeah, this is buggy because it's supposed to read the context of things. But we have misspelled words, and actually I don't consider that to be a misspelled word because I made rat catcher 2 words as well as rat catcher 1 word as words that you can use to refer to the cat. And in case you're wondering, I got that from a book. That is from the Forbidden Library book series by Django Wexler. I thought that was pretty amusing when that was used to refer to a cat.
White space menu.
But what the text checker is supposed to do, and I think it kind of does, because if I go down here
2 tabs.
and press enter,
If a random break the bowl. Tab, new tab, B, tab.
it does move my cursor to the line, but it's not speaking the context properly. But it can help you find inconsistencies in text, which you might find useful. The big thing I have is when I'm typing, I tend to capitalize usually the first and the second letter of words because I'm still holding down shift because I type quickly. And this can be helpful. So like if I go over here,
She's pushed it off, and H-E apostrophe S space P-U S
Let's
U
capitalize U. Well, I'll
P
actually.
S U P E H S comma T break say Ginger leaps ta ta A Y quote G I N I
Let's say I capitalize G and I in Ginger.
I G say Ginger leaps onto the
And
counter.
you may not catch that in speech, but if I bring up text checker,
White space menu, capitalization menu, 1 Ginger, G-I-N-G-E-R in sentence, cat by Christopher Ginger, I-G-I-N-I, I-G-I.
so I can jump to that, press enter. It brings my cursor to the word, and I can correct it using standard commands. I think I am going to report that bug to Apple because it should be telling you the correct context of words. Of course, I am running a macOS beta, so that's probably not the best thing to be using, but it's pretty stable. So yeah, that's what I would recommend that you might want to use too, or get someone to proofread and help you with that. So let's hit Command-Shift-R.
Plus 74% generating code.
And we're just going to stop the speech.
Setting web content input report on release succeeded.
All right, it succeeded. I'm going to quit Inform.
Finder, desktop.
Actually, I could have hit Command M to bring up the folder, but we'll just do it manually. So I'll hit Command Shift O.
Documents window, list view table. Cat.inform project. Today at
Where is my
test folder spirit cat.materials folder spirit slayer.materials folder.
Spirit Slayer? That is the game that I may or may not ever release. I find this to be extremely tedious, which is why it may never see the light of day.
Cat.materials folder. List view table.
So let's go in here.
Release folder. List view. Cat.gblorb blorbeg story file. Today at 3:35 p.m.
Now here's the game file. Now I have Spatterlight installed, which is an IF interpreter for macOS. In fact, I would go as far to say I think this is the best way to play interactive fiction on any computer platform if you are blind, because the developer has done an excellent job with this program. It plays a whole bunch of different game formats, and it reads beautifully with voiceover. And I generally just recommend this highly if you like these types of games. So I'm going to hit Command O.
Open. Spatterlight. Cat window. Edit text insertion at end of text. Has keyboard focus. Cat and interactive fiction by Christopher Wright. Release 1. Serial number 250314. Inform 7v 10.1.2. Living room. There's nothing special here. The kitchen is east. Ginger the cat is wandering around without a care in the world, her eyes constantly searching for threats, food, and toys.
All right, and here we are in the game, so now you can begin typing and doing things. Now this game is pretty bare bones, and the only thing that we need to do is just wait, and the code will handle the rest. So if I just do that.
Time passes.
So I'm just typing Z and hitting Enter, which is the quick way to type wait. You could also type wait out as the word, so W-A-I-T.
Time passes. Ginger climbs on your shoulders and neck, causing you to wince in pain as her claws dig into your skin.
So it's printing random messages to make you think that the cat is doing things.
Time passes.
I can also hit G or type again to execute the same command.
Time passes. Time passes. Time passes. Ginger heads to the kitchen.
All right, so now she's in the kitchen, and if this works properly,
G.
she might break the bowl.
Time passes. Time passes. Time passes. Time passes. You hear a crash from the kitchen. Ginger runs into the room looking extremely spooked. What the hell just happened?
So now if we look around.
Living room, there's nothing special here. The kitchen is east. Ginger the cat is here, looking extremely frightened at the moment. Ginger tries to make herself look as small as possible.
Let's examine the cat.
She's a little tabby. You call her a toy cat because she's so small. She looks incredibly scared right now. Her eyes have dilated, and her back is arched. Clearly, the act of breaking the bowl spooked her something fierce. Time passes.
Just wait here.
Time passes. Time passes. Time passes. As time passes, Ginger hisses loudly.
Yeah, she's not in a good mood anymore.
Time passes. As time passes,
Let's do one more.
as time passes, Ginger yowls in distress.
Right, so it's going to keep doing that until you close the program or you restart it. Let's restart it.
Are you sure you want to restart?
Actually, no, I don't, because I want to show you something real quick. So if I type no,
No.
if I go east,
Kitchen, there's nothing special here. The living room is west. Broken glass litters the floor.
so we type X bowl.
It used to be a functional glass bowl until Ginger decided to push it off the counter. Now it's a bunch of broken glass you'll have to clean up.
Try to take it.
You'll need to sweep up the mess. It's far too dangerous otherwise.
Type take broken.
You'll need to sweep up the mess.
Right, the same thing. Now let's restart.
Are you sure you want to restart? Cat and Interactive Fiction by Christopher Wright. Space.
Let's examine the cat.
She's a little tabby. You call her a toy cat because she's so small. She's currently walking around, tail straight up in the air. She must be very content.
Right. So I think my code is working as intended. Now, again, this is extremely basic, so there's probably not too much room for glitches. Obviously, if your game gets more complex, you know, you might have some weird bugs cropping up. Especially, I imagine, probably if you have a bunch of characters doing things out all at once, or maybe even interacting with each other. And I think you can do that, but again, it's a bit tricky to code that stuff, and I don't entirely know how that works. I'd have to do lots of research. But let me go east here.
Kitchen, there's nothing special here. The living room is west. A glass bowl sits on the counter. Ginger arrives from the living room.
Uh-oh, the cat's in here. Let's examine the bowl.
It's a little glass bowl you sometimes use to feed the cat, though its purpose can change as the situation dictates. You hear a crash from the kitchen. Ginger runs into the room looking extremely spooked. What the hell just happened?
Okay, I thought I fixed that bug, but it's still doing it. Examine bowl.
It used to be a functional glass bowl until Ginger decides.
Restart.
Are you sure you want to read Cat and Interactive Fiction? Space. Kitchen, there's nothing special here. The living room is west. A glass bowl sits on the counter. As time passes. As time passes.
Let's try waiting here.
As time passes. As time passes. As time passes.
Just wait in the kitchen.
As time passes. As time passes. Ginger
So-
arrives from the living room. As time passes. Ginger jumps into your lap. As time passes. As time passes. Ginger rubs against your legs. As time passes. As time passes. As time passes. As time passes. Ginger jumps into your lap.
Is that going to
Ginger
trigger?
heads to the living room.
Oh, nope. See, so it just depends. We'll just wait and see if
Time
the code does
passes.
it. So yeah, this is basically how you can try to make things
Time passes.
appear
Ginger arrives from the living room.
that they're behaving by themselves. Okay, and now she's back in here.
Time passes. As time passes. Ginger chases something you can't see. As time passes. Ginger jumps into your lap.
Come on, break the bowl, kitty.
As time passes. Ginger leaps onto the counter and paws at the bowl. Before you can react, she's pushed it off, and it falls to the ground with a tremendous crash, shattering into many tiny pieces. She runs out of the room, leaving you alone with the mess. Damn those pesky cats.
Okay, so I'm not sure why it triggered correctly this time, but not the last time. There's probably some kind of bug going on somewhere, but it's hard to reproduce. But now, if we look around here,
It used to be a functional glass bowl until Ginger decided to push it off the counter. Now it's a bunch of broken glass you'll have to clean up.
so yeah, that's basically it. Let me quit out of here.
Are you sure you want to quit? Cat has finished.
So I just typed yes and then hit enter. It told me it was done running.
Finder, release window, close window.
And yeah, that's basically it. So hopefully this has given you an idea of what is possible with Inform. Basically, I've shown you how to make things act like they're doing things when they're actually not, as well as how to actually make a character change the environment, which you may also want to do. So, yeah, if you have any questions, comments, of course, let me know. I'm going to go back over here to my other computer where I'm recording. And yeah, so like I said, I hope this has been helpful. And you guys take care. Bye.